Hello my fellow readers. In this video I'm going to do something that I don't normally do, although I sort of do it, I kind of incorporate it, but I kind of don't, and that is just going over like the mid-year book tag. It is that time of year when you kind of freak out about where you've been, what you're doing, but in the book world, not in the greater world. I will do most of what has been brought up categorically in the tag, but there are some things I'm probably just going to skip over because either I don't have something or I just don't do that in general. One of which will be like the book boyfriend. I'm like, I don't know, half the time I don't think they're ideal people. So we're going to skip that. But for now, let's just go over what I think so far this year. Like, what are my tops? What are my big misses of the year? And where are we going from here? So my best book so far of 2026. And I was thinking about this and I was like, where do I want to go? What am I feeling? And honestly, for me personally, and I have it here, so I'm going to grab it. For me personally, I think my favorite book so far this year is Thistlemarsh. And this is by Maura Corrigan. I just really liked this. I actually read the arc of Thistlemarsh back a couple months ago. I don't exactly remember when, and I knew to just order it right away, that it was something I wanted to keep in my collection. I do want to speak more on this book, but this is the kind of thing that I like. This is a classic fairy story where and it's also set during World War I. So it's like, it's got the historical elements that I love as well as a big fairy story. And in this one, our main character, Mouse, has inherited a house, and there are so many stipulations to her actually getting the house because her uncle didn't really like her, and that's flat out the truth. And a big part of that is that she has to restore the house to a certain degree in order to keep the house. Otherwise, it's going to go to this guy that's a really big jerk. So she ends up making a fairy bargain to get help to fix the house, and it's all the repercussions and story around that. And I love this. This is the kind of story that I really enjoy. So that's I think my best book so far. But I also really super loved Direbound. I was not expecting to, but I think if you want to hit like that classic romantasy that I say is kind of hits the different parts that Court of Thorns and Roses or A Fourth Wing can hit, Direbound does that, only, you know, there's like wolves, giant wolves, and there's kind of a vampire-y element, so if you like those, I'm still going to recommend that one. And I really shouldn't talk about this because it's technically for the second half of the year, but I just finished the sequel, Fairybound, and so, yeah, I think the next book is the last in the trilogy, and that'll be out next year, and I'm looking forward to it. So my best sequel so far this year, I was looking over and I was trying to think of this, and I don't even think it's out yet, so it's kind of cheating because I think this, even though I read it in the first half of the year, I read the arc, so is it fair? I don't know, but you know what, I'm going to count it anyway, and that's Daggerbound by T. Kingfisher. This is a sequel to Swordheart. And a lot of people thought she wouldn't return to that world, but she did. And I loved that book. And not only is it a sequel to that, but it is a sequel to a prior series, which was the Clockwork Boys and the Wonder Engine. One of the characters in that, Edmund, appears in Daggerbound. And I just really enjoyed it. I think T. Kingfisher can write a good fantasy tale, and I just enjoyed it. In this series, it follows warriors that have been bound to weapons, so swords and whatnot. So obviously Swordheart, he was bound to a sword. I don't remember what kind of sword he is in Daggerbound. I don't think it's literally a dagger. Like, I think it's more of a sword. But anyway, it's still really good. I enjoyed it immensely. Would highly recommend that series and that world, and I look forward to getting the full hardcover physical copy of the book. I think that is my favorite sequel so far. I think unfairly, I could obviously say, oh, Witch Hat Atelier, like any volume that I've read so far this year, just because that's one of my favorite series. But I always feel like with manga, it counts, but it also doesn't count, if you know what I mean, because we get so many volumes a year and it's hard to pinpoint. I'm dying, like I'm desperate for the next volume of Witch Hat Atelier. I think it's going to be awesome. I am so tempted to go and read it off of the app and catch up on the chapters, and I can, but I'm like, do I spend money to do that when I am going to buy the physical copy? And I can't justify that, but you know, obviously that would also be a big one for me. That's a favorite sequel. But we're not going to talk too much more on that. A new release that I want to read, but haven't yet. So for this one, I've got one just came in. So I don't know, this is kind of cheating too. But it's Heartstopper Volume 6. This is the last volume of Heartstopper. This ends the series, at least as far as I know. I don't think there's going to be a surprise at the end. And the other one is Under the Oak Tree Volume 3, which came out fairly recently, and I can't wait to get to this one. I honestly, though, I have so many releases that I'm looking forward to, and there's a big part of me that is very lucky because I do get to read and review a lot of ARCs. So I've read a lot of books that are coming out later in the year already, so I don't feel like too much on that, but there are still so many big ones coming out, and I'll talk about a couple of them coming up because that's another question. I'm not going to answer that now. So those would be the ones that I currently own and I'm looking forward to. And I think I have a few audiobooks too that tie in, but those are the ones I'm really up to. Now, for some of the ones that will be coming and that I am excited for and that are mostly sequels, the most anticipated release for 2026 that I can't wait to read. So obviously we have a big one coming in 2026 in the Romantasy sphere, and I'm obviously looking forward to reading it, and that is Ekatar number 6. I guess it's number 6. I mean, it's kind of weird because I still think A Court of Frost and Starlight or whatever is a point something. Like, it's not a full sequel, but that's okay. I will count it 6. It's what it's listed as, and I can't wait to see what it's called. But obviously that one, it's going to come out. I'm going to read it right away. I can't wait for that one. And the other one that I'm really looking forward to, which is not coming out until like the very end of the year, and hopefully it does not get delayed, is, I have to remember the title. Otherwise I'm just going to call it, book 2, is Vine of Hearts. And that is the Evermore book 2, and I think it's the final book. This should be a duology, and that is the one that Rose in Chains by Julie Soto was number 1. And I'm not going to get into the whole history of it. I think that Julie Soto actually did a really good job of rewriting this world to feel as its own world and independent of the original inspiration and fan fiction that it was. So we're not going to talk about where it came from. I'm going to talk about it as a book itself, and I think hers is the most successful, honestly, in my opinion, for that. And I look forward to reading book 2. And then I'm also looking forward to the third book. I don't remember what the whole series is. The series just called like The Wolf King, whatever. I'm looking forward to The Wolf Queen, which should wrap up the one that's the Wolf King, and then The Night Prince, and then Wolf Queen will be book 3. Anyway, I'm looking forward to that one. That should be out. But there's a bunch. Like, I have a little ongoing wish list in my book tracker, and I'm keeping track, and I keep adding to it too. There's so many things that are coming out that I'm so excited for. Let's see. The next one is my biggest disappointment, and honestly, I'm going to say because I had to wait for this stupid book, and I don't think it's good. And it's had so much hype for a couple of years now. And that is Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. I think that if you want a good hockey romance, there are so many better ones out there. And of course this one combined like hockey and figure skating. I thought the characters were shallow. I thought the story was shallow. I just didn't enjoy it. I don't think it's well written. I didn't like it. I think that was the biggest disappointment, and I had to wait for it for a while. Obviously I did not buy it. I borrowed it from the library. And yeah, I didn't enjoy it. There you go. I don't like it. Flat characters, blah story. I do think the L. Kennedy one, I don't know about the whole off-campus series. I'm just going to speak of book 1. I thought was a more engaging story overall than Icebreaker. So if you just want a good, like, sports romance and you want hockey included, I guess, I don't know, go to that one. So next is my biggest surprise of the year, and I'm going to give that to The Swan's Daughter. This is one of my Fairy Loot books, and when I got it in, I was like, I don't know, I'm probably going to end up selling this one. And then I finished the book, and I really found myself just so engaged. Again, this is a classic story that interests me, where it's more of a fairy tale retelling. It's beautiful. It's got like a love story element, but also like the love story is between kind of unlikely characters, where the male main character is kind of the spoiled prince type. And I mean, you feel kind of bad for him because he does continuously like get threats on his life. And the female main character, again, is the unlikely protagonist where people view her a certain way. So for most of it, she's viewed as kind of homely and, I don't know, like less than. I'll just say less than, and then it's the development of their friendship and the whole story beyond that. And I just loved this one. It really surprised me. So yeah, that one, this is one I would say it wasn't on my radar. And then I just happened to get it in Fairy Loot, and then I fell in love with the story and would recommend. So the next one is a new favorite author, and just going on what I've read, and an author that was new to me, a debut to me, whatever, I'm gonna go with Moira. And is this Moira? I'm assuming. Corrigan. I mean, it's not, I know it's not spelled like the traditional way that I know, but I'm assuming. But author of Thistlemarsh. I've never read a book by the author. I don't know if this is a debut, but I loved this. It had all the elements I love. And so I would look forward to reading something else by this author. I think if you would ask the same question like last year or the year before, it would have been the author of Harvest of Hearts, probably. The year before that, I would have said Maija Ducey, because I still love sorcery and small magics. Waiting for that second book. I'm just saying. I feel like it's been forever, and I love that book. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and skip, again, fictional crush, and probably favorite character. I don't know that I have a favorite. I love a lot of characters. Like, there's different elements of characters that I pick apart, and I really enjoy. So I'll move on to, like, a book that made you cry. Technically, none, but I think a book that had a lot of emotional impact and that made me view things differently, or it's things that I am aware of and I think of, but this made me really focus on it, is The River is Waiting. It's a book by Wally Lamb, and it is a very emotional story. I don't know if I should give this away. I think so, because I think it's the main plot. The main point of it is there's a father, and he's taking care of his kids while he's out of work. He had lost his job, so he's unemployed, supposed to be looking for work. He ends up addicted to, I think it's anti-anxiety medication and alcohol. And he sneaks that a lot. And one morning, he's probably a little bit more tipsy and out of it than he should be, and gets knocked out of his routine and forgets to put his son in his car seat and ends up running him over with his car. This is, again, very tragic tag, so don't do this. The child does end up dying, and he ends up getting sent to prison. And so it's the story of his life behind bars, his recovery, his learning to deal with what he did and the tragedy of his loss, because it's not only something that he did that impacted somebody else, it was his son. So it's dealing with the loss of his son. And then on top of that, really the loss of his daughter, who he did have in the car, for the impact that he's made in all of his lives, his wife's life, his daughter's life, obviously his son who's no longer there, his parents, like the grandparents, and then him was now stuck behind bars. And then also getting to know the other people in prison and what their stories are and the inequality that often happens in the judicial system. This isn't a happy one. So I don't know that I full on cried, but it definitely was very dark and emotional and makes you view things differently. And we should all be grateful for the mistakes we don't make. So a book that made me happy. This was harder for me, and not that like books don't make me happy, but like, I don't know. I am happy from the reader element, but I'm going to go with one that I just had a joy reading, and that was The Someday Garden. It is, I don't think it's out yet, now that I think about it. It's the upcoming book from Ashley Poston. So it is a kind of magical realism romance where the main character, there is a little touch of sadness, but the main character and her best friend had been visiting this garden. They make a promise to return there, I think in 10 years. We don't really know what happened, but we know when we are with the character again. Years later, she's there by herself. She has taken a job there for the summer. She is I don't remember what her title is, if she's a horticulturist, a botanist, I don't know, but she does work normally at the gardens in New York City, the botanical gardens, and just for this summer, she's taken a job at this garden, at this home. It's like a little I don't remember what they call the place, but it's apparently very cute. They have nice gardens and everything, so she's taken the job to work there. One of the days that she's working there, she stumbles upon this garden area that she's never seen before, and there's a guy in there, and they meet, and they start talking, and then she ends up out of the garden, and it vanishes, and she can't find it. And the main point of it is not only they're getting to know one another, but also what is happening with the garden. Where is it? Where does it go? There's kind of time element at play, and what is happening. And let's see what else. Kind of second chances, kind of moving on from things that happen in life. And I don't know, I just think the overall stories from Ashley Poston usually have this kind of optimism and recovery in them. So I'm going to say if that makes me happy, it is that one. I also really loved Abby Jimenez's new book, which I do have a copy of back there, The Night We Met. I also really like that song, and so it gets stuck in my head every time I see the title. But I liked that one, but I feel like there was a lot of themes of that one that were slightly darker, as much as I always love her characters. This one, The Night We Met, is better than the previous one. So if you had trouble with her last book, which I was fine with, but if you didn't like that as much, you should like The Night We Met a little bit more. And what am I on to next? Oh, The Most Beautiful Book. That's too hard for me. I did grab a couple of the ones I like. I did really like... that I got this year, by the way. This is the ones I had to get this year. I do really like my Fairy Loot edition of Heart So Green. This wrapped up this series by Lyra Celine. And I don't remember what the series is called. But it started with A Feather So Black. And again, this is one that has like the whole fairy tale elements in dealing with the Swan Princess. And it's got fairies, and I just really enjoyed this series, and I think this is one that will probably continue to fly kind of under the radar, but I like it. It's so good, and I don't want to talk about the whole thing about it, but I do think this cover is beautiful, so I just grabbed this one. I also really, really loved, I did love Thistle Marsh's cover, and I was caught between the US and the UK edition, but I did go ahead and get the US one. I do think I like it a lot. I like the purple and the gold. And then I also really like the Swan's Daughter. And the thing that I can't remember is if there were a couple of Fairy Loot ones that came in that I liked the cover, but have sold the book already, because if that's the case, I don't remember. And I guess, yeah, the last one is books to read by the end of the year. I still have to read Ballad of Fallen Dragons. That is the sequel to the When the Moon Hatched, and the other one I have to read is Fallen Stars. Those are my like must list. Right now I am going through ones that I have gotten, and especially if they're part of a series that I need to read. And so those two are two that are left that I definitely have to get to. Like I have to read it before the end of the year, in part as well because I don't know if they're continuing or if this is the end of a duology. I have a feeling that they are both continuing. I'm pretty sure, at least with Fallen Stars, that will be continuing, but I'd be fine if it was a duology. The other book I forgot to mention that I'm really looking forward to reading, and then I just saw it here, I actually bought this from Waterstones because I don't think that we, at least for right now, there's no release for the US, but I was seeing it from other booktubers, and I was like, that sounds up my alley. And so this is a new release that I want to read, and it's The Mistral. And this one, let me see if I remember. Let's see. Let's just read it. I'll read it. Why not? Why not? I don't know how long this video is going to be, and I apologize. The Mistral, a divine ancient wind, has long swept over the realm, bestowing magical abilities on those destined to shape the future. But the Mistral is dying. As it falters and fear of all-out war consumes the kingdom, a peace delegation sets out from the land of Tyrius to the city of Lorella. At the delegation's heart is Swan, the daughter of an assassinated queen who holds a powerful and rare ability. She must seek answers, both to her mother's murder and her own inability to master her powers before it's too late. Meanwhile, in Lorella's dueling pit, the Iron Circuit, Fen, a feared fighter, just had trouble reading that one. Comes to the attention of one city ruler who sees in her an opportunity. As the peace pledge begins, Swan and Fen are thrown together by a dark conspiracy, one that could forever alter not just their fate, but that of Mistral and the fragile balance holding the realm together. So, you know, it's just epic fantasy. I don't think there's more to say other than that, and I'm just interested in it. And I saw people like opening it, and I wanted it. And then I checked to see if we're getting the book, but with a different title. I did not see any US release or listing, so I went ahead. Oh, you know what? I just realized I don't think I got this from Waterstones. I think I ordered it from Amazon, just like the UK bookseller option through there. Like, you can get UK books. Often you just have to pay a little bit more. I think I just got it there, because I think I had just placed an order through Waterstones, and I forgot to get that one. So I'm like, well, I can get it this way, and so I did. Anyway, that's my take on the first half of the year and what I look forward to for the second half of the year. I do think this has been a good book year. I'm about where I usually am with reading, for good or ill, in my opinion, because I still think I wouldn't mind cutting back a little, but that's okay. You know, if I'm having a good time, it's fine. I'm having a good time. Let's see where this year takes us. That's it for this video. Until next time, bye.